will be trained by Mr. SAFUAN SHAHRIL. Mr. SAFUAN SHAHRIL. He's a senior animator from WAU Animation. He has been working with WAU since the early days, and his knowledge about 3D is very vast, so don't be shy to ask him any questions that you want. Let me play the slideshow. Okay, it's a little bit of a background for Mr. SAFUAN SHAHRIL. Okay, he has his diploma from the City of Bristol College in UK, and later he furthered his studies in multimedia animation and visual effects in MMU University. And then he has been working with WAU Animation for about 4 years now, okay, 3 years and 9 months. Okay, he has been senior animator, okay, since November 2016 until August 2018, and lately he has become the 3D technical artist from September 2018 and currently. Okay, his past work was this one is not EJEN, actually it's EJEN. Okay, this typo here. Okay, he worked with EJEN Ali season 1 and 2. Okay, and then the latest one is EJEN Ali Missinio, which is the EJEN Ali the movie. All right, this is his past work. This one is Emergency Escape. Maybe you can ask him the link for his video for Emergency Escape. I believe that most of you has watched EJEN Ali the movie, whether at cinema or also at the TV last Raya. All right. Okay, without further delay, I'll pass the presentation to Mr. SAFUAN. Okay, SAFUAN.
Good morning, everyone. Semua boleh dengar?
Yes.
Okay. Very excited to be joining everyone today. It's a bit very chilly this morning, so yeah, very hard to get out of bed today. Anyway, so this workshop is about giving life to your animation. My name is SAFUAN SHAHRIL, animator from WAU Animation. So let's get started then. So we want to talk about animation, right? What is animation? We need to understand the core, the basic core value of our job role. So if you will ask animation to, say for example, Makcik Kia, what is animation to Makcik Kia? Animation to her might be just cartoons, right? But to us, animation is a form of medium. So it's not a genre, not sort of any kind of type of film, but instead it's a form of medium. So the animator's role is just basically to convey the character's emotion through body language, right? So our job is to be able to transfer the story into the body language effectively. As an animator, we provide the body language layer. We do not provide the voice, but we have to provide the body language that is driven by the emotion. So can you sort of tell your short? Can your short tell a story without an audio? When someone is trying to lie, but you know the body cannot lie, so we need to be able to tell the body language layer effectively. So the principles of animation were introduced by two Disney animators named Ollie Johnston and Frank Thomas back in 1981 through their book called The Illusion of Life. So basically, I'm not going to go through all of the principles one by one because there's a lot, but it's you can always search this on the YouTube or in the internet. It's very easy to access. Basically, principles of animation is just the purpose is to create a believable weight within your animation, so it will look more natural to the human eye. So that is the basic principles of animation. If you would take this all of this short list and you would use it as a guide for your short and a checklist, you would take one by one, and then when you finish animate, does it cover the whole principle? and then you need to ask your shot as well if the animation looks natural. So that is the whole purpose of principles of animation. But if you want to ask, like, because the principle of animation was introduced back in 1981, it's a very old principle, right? But is it still, can it still be used during the modern day, during today? So basically, the principle it's not outdated. Instead, there are more points that we need to consider now when animating your animation. So there are these two columns here. Basically, what is added is just basically the subcontext that you need to consider, and also there's this technical 3D elements that you need to consider as well. Because principles of animation was introduced back in the day, and the animators were animating in 2D, right? So now we have 3D softwares, which is easily accessible with Blender as well. And then we can animate more in the 3D space. Okay. So basically, what animation is all about is just basically poses and timing. So basically, yes, there will be other factors, and most of it will be technical terms. But the raw material that we have to deal with is first the strong poses, and then you cannot play with timing if you do not have the poses first. So then if you have the poses, and then you have to play the transition to each poses. But that gets very technical, right? So poses. So these are kind of factors that you need to consider when you build a pose, create a pose in 3D. Basically, your poses need to have personality, appeal, silhouette, a clear silhouette, a balanced pose, and also you need to consider the line of action. When we talk about appeal, right? Appeal is a very broad word because what appeal means is basically any sort of character. If the character is designed not that good, but you try to fuse the appealness through your animation, then that can be done. If you build a very strong personality to the character, it will create a very strong appeal to it. Yeah, any sort of questions that anyone want to ask about poses or?
I do have, Safwan.
Sorry?
I do have one question.
Oh yeah,
Can you explain more about the balance one?
the balance.
Yeah.
Okay, basically balance, right? When you pose a character, it needs to look well balanced. It doesn't look like it's gonna fall down, or like, for example, if you will look at this kind of pose here, you see my mouse. So this character is standing confused. If you look at the hip, the legs are very wide here, and then the hips are the backwards. And then when the hips are at the back, it counter with the body going forward. So that is the kind of explanation for balance. And then same goes to this one. If the character wants to go for a punch, right? It needs that one leg in front where it balances the body first before it goes for a punch. So it needs to look more natural, I guess. That's how I would explain it.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And then we got timing. Timing, the aspect in animation is very, very important because timing relates with spacing of your keyframe as well. Basically, this will either break or make your animation work, right? Because if the animation is floating, it won't look that nice. It needs that weight to your animation. So basic approach that we use is a 5-key system. So you have a key pose A, and then key post B, and then a slow in, a slow out, and a in between. And then I'm gonna show this more during our demo later, because if I would just explain by visual like this, it's very hard to understand. So to give you a picture what animators have to deal in a production, so basically you have this one episode, right? So each scene, each episode has, for example, 10 scenes here. So here are the different colors here. So they represent different scenes. Each scene may not be ready in chronological order. So we might have to start from the middle part, or maybe in the beginning, or maybe somewhere near the end. And then each scene, we'll take that one scene, it maybe have around 20 shots. So here, around here, 20 shots in one scene. And then one animator will be tasked around average around 4 to 5 shots. So for example, if 5 shots has 30 seconds, they have to animate in 25 frames per second. About the format, frames per second, right? A TV episode, we usually use 25 frames. And then during a movie, we use 24 frames per second. Okay. So basically, as an animator, we need to understand and investigate how a scene tells the story. So we cannot just animate our shot how we want, and then when the editor checks the sequence, it will be a disaster. It wouldn't make any sense to the story. So as an animator, we need to understand the scene first, the story, and then we take a small part to animate to make sense for the whole story. So a typical workflow for one shot, this is how it will look like. So you have a layout where you set up the camera, staging in your shot based on the storyboard given as a guidance. And then you have a reference here. Reference is actually during the process of blocking, where you need to do your ideation before you animate your shot. So for blocking, it's basically setting up the poses and getting the timing for your animation. And then detailing is polishing your animation before finishing your shot. How basically, like for detailing, right? If you would do the blocking part properly, like very well, the detailing part will only make your shot 10% better. Because if you would animate in step mode and make sure all of the poses are strong, the transition are nicely poses as well, and then when you spline the detailing part, maybe you will just tweak the graph editor just a little bit. But this one I'll show you more during the demo later. Okay, so as you can see, the reference part is bold in the text here, because it's very important in animation process. So planning the shot. So you have to think about how you want to approach your shot first, right? It doesn't matter how you want to approach it. Basically, you want to start questioning what to do first. And if you start questioning by narrowing the ideas one by one for your shot structurally, you use more of the left side of the brain. Or if you would first try to sketch your ideas roughly, freely, you use more of the right side of the brain. But it's okay to switch, you know. It doesn't matter how you approach your shot. You can start from your right side of the brain or your left side of the brain. So for example, if you were given an information, just one information, so one character just to sit on a chair, go. But then how would you go and approach with that information, right? You can create lots of poses, lots of personalities of the character by just sitting, but there is no right or wrong. So how do you solve this? So basically, character archetypes, this is a study from Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist. He developed a primal and instinctive archetype, basically to identify what your character archetype as a starting point in order to establish a personality for the story. So what defines an archetype? Basically a group of behavior and emotion. So you can see here, because there are lots of subgroups here. There's a innocent, creator. So you use this kind of information to plot with your character in your animation. One more thing, this study is used in a lot of in marketing as well. How they use this to attract the right the right target customer. For example, like in advertising, 100 plus is advertised through sports, right? To athletes. So if they drink, they're supposed to be to more energetic. So for another analysis, character archetypes in movies. So everybody knows the Avengers, right? So this is basically the character archetypes in Avengers. So we'll take one example, Spider-Man as the innocent and has this young personality. He can be a bit clumsy at times, but because of that, his youth is he can be it portrays him as a very innocent character. So then as an animator, you take that information to use in your acting. So to understand acting, body language is a vocabulary. It's like speaking a language, but we need to educate ourselves on how to speak properly, because every of those archetypes uses a different body language. Everybody okay with the character archetypes? Okay, all right. So then we go to the 7 Universal Emotions by Paul Ekman. So basically, this is there's pictures of Tim Roth here, from the actor from the TV series Lie to Me. Basically, Paul Ekman, he studied the relationship, emotion, and body language. So in his study, there are only 7 clear emotions linked to the body language, and those emotions are the ones that you cannot fake, and also they are universal. So as you can see, like if the anger, you cannot sort of fake the eyebrows there, because it will come out very naturally. You cannot sort of control the muscle of your face to manipulate your emotions. So these are the very 7 key universal emotions. I mean, there's another example of Pixar film, right, called Inside Out, where they use the emotions as the character, but instead they didn't use surprise and contempt, because it's very too common. Because if you would use surprise in sadness or anger, it's very, too common, I guess. So yeah, so this is the basic emotions that we need to know. So for reference, as an animator, there are 2 ways that you can sort of express your ideas through either thumbnails or video reference. So the video reference, you have acting and also movie clips. So for thumbnails is basically you do sketches of poses based on the dialogue that you're given, or you can use acting, which is just explore acting by yourself. And then movie clips, you find movie clips from movies that you are inspired to use their acting in your animation. So this is an example of how a thumbnail is being done. So this is an animator from Pixar. His name is Victor Novo. You can actually go on to his Flickr account, because he posts all of his thumbnails there. So these are one of the ones that I took for showing the examples. As you can see here, so the top one, he written down the lines, and then each of the lines will sort of mirror the poses that he drew right here. So then there's more. Thumbnails are very rough sketches. You don't have to be good at drawing when doing thumbnails. You can also draw in a form of statement also. So in any way, or form, as long as you can sort of draw the poses well, and then that should be fine. Even sort of this shot, how he explores. So these two characters were hiding behind the cabinet, right? So he drew lots of ways to make it look funny. Yeah, but it depends. If you're good at drawing, you can do this sort of thing. But if it's not, then you might have to explore in acting as well. And then we have video reference for acting. So for acting, before we did EJEN ALI the movie, basically from transitioning from the series to the movie, of course we wanted to do some sort of a different level, a different animation style that we wanted to do. So the animation team did this case study on how to make acting easier for the team. So we concluded with these points as a checklist for animators to analyze their shot and to use this before they do the acting. So we come up with this kind of points here. So is the character interacting with somebody or something? Is the character focusing on the character or focusing on himself? And then you have the emotion, the mood. What is the emotion of the mood of the acting? And then also the energy. The energy will depict the mood of the acting as well. And then the environment. Is the environment very peaceful, or is the environment very in a fighting scene? So that all of these factors will affect the personality or the acting of the character. So basically, acting is just gesture and emotion. So when looking for reference, we also have to consider the demographic of your character, because we are used to seeing Western films, right? But if you refer to Western movies and their acting, you have to question, does the reference suit your character's personality? For example, like if a character is angry, if a Malaysia, the dialogue when he is angry, when the character is angry, is very fast. So how do you transition that into your animation nicely? So you don't want to mash up the lip sync animation. Okay. Yeah. Any questions regarding acting and thumbnailing?
So when you guys do the animation in WAU animation,
Yep.
do you guys do the acting yourself?
Yeah, we usually do. I mean, it is recommended that we do our acting ourselves, but sometimes some animators they will also use the movie clips as well, because animators, we tend to be very, very shy people, right? So in terms of how we work, we usually express ourselves through our acting. So usually the acting session will be very fun for most of the animators. And then once the acting is done, so we try to break down all the poses and narrow down the ideation as well.
Okay, what about fighting scenes or something like the character flying around?
Interesting. For example, if a fighting scene, usually, I mean, the process of the animators that I know in WAU animation, they tend to use a lot of anime reference, and then if one of the scene is okay, and then we want to add another one, we can also add a different movie clip as well. So there tend to be a lot of discussion in the with the storyboard team as well, because they have their own reference too. So we try to balance it out with both ideation.
Okay, one more thing. Okay, okay, yeah, you said they refer to the animation or anime clips, right? Will
Yep.
that breach any copyright issue? Because they are
Uh,
referring to somebody else's work.
Not really, because it's not you're not actually trying to mimic exactly the same, right? Because it happens when the timing is a bit different. The camera angle can be changed a bit, so there are ways to we try to not try get caught, I guess. But then when you say when we talk about reference, we just want to get the ideation, right? So just to get inspired, not to basically copy exactly the exact thing.
I see. Okay, right. Thanks.
Okay, anybody else?
Anybody else has some question to ask to Safwan?
Okay, we can move on then. All right, I'm gonna share some video reference, some video acting as well.
Safwan, it's a bit blurry.
Bit blurry.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Is it okay now?
Still blur, but it's okay than before. Better than before.
Okay. So for example, the character archetypes, right? So there's this one scene from Pulp Fiction called The Wolf. Can you listen to the audio?
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay, first thing, you two. Take the body, stick it in the trunk. Now, Jimmy, this looks to be a pretty domesticated house. That would lead me to believe that in the garage, you're under the seat, you got a bunch of cleaners and cleansers and shit like that.
Yeah, Mr. Wolfman.
Good, good. I need you two folks to do is take those cleaning products and clean the inside of the car. I'm talking fast, fast, fast. You need to go in the back seat, scoop up all those little pieces of brain and skull, get it out of there. Wipe down the upholstery. Now, when it comes to upholstery, you don't need to be spick and span. You don't need to eat off it. Just give it a good once-over. What you need to take care of are the really messy parts. The pools of blood that I've collected, you gotta soak that shit up. Now, Jimmy, we need to raid your linen closet. I need blankets, I need comforters, I need quilts, I need bedspreads. The thicker the better, the darker the better. No whites. Can't use them. We need to camouflage the interior of the car. We're gonna line the front seat and the back seat and the floorboards with quilts and blankets. So if a cop stops us and starts sticking his big snout in the car, the subterfuge won't last. But at a glance, the car will appear to be normal. Jimmy, lead the way. Boys, get to work.
Please would be nice.
Come again?
I said a please would be nice.
Get it straight, Buster. I'm not here to say please. I'm here to tell you what to do. And if self-preservation is an instinct you possess, you better fucking do it and do it quick. I'm here to help. If my help's not appreciated, lots of luck, gentlemen.
No, Mr. Wolf, it ain't like that. Your help is definitely appreciated.
Mr. Wolf, listen, I don't mean disrespect, okay? I respect you. I just don't like people barking orders at me, that's all.
If I'm curt with you, it's because time is a factor. I think fast, I talk fast, and I need you guys to act fast if you want to get out of this. So, pretty please, with sugar on top, clean the fucking car.
Okay, so this is a scene, quite a famous scene from Pulp Fiction, the movie. So basically, this character named the Wolf, right? He's in the archetype. He is described as the magician, the hero, because he comes to the scene. He's supposedly trying to help these two characters, trying to save their day as well. So the way like how, as an animator, how do we use this scene to animate? So you look. So it's like he's talking. Like throughout his explanation, he doesn't even give a break for other people to speak. But he's very in control of the scene with the hand gesture. And then I like the fact that these two characters are very defensive. And then look at him, he's very in control. The way he looks at the characters, the way his head is tilted a bit, and then also the fact that he's holding a coffee, he's holding a mug with a coffee. It tells like how controlled he is in the scene as well. So then when you come to the point of when the character said, "Oh, please would be nice," and then he goes, "Come again." So this kind of pose, right? Like, you know, for clarification, like, sorry. So this is the kind of thing where usually, you know, you want to clarify, you want to try a lesson. If a father who has a child, you go to the child and say, "Sorry, what do you want?" Like, you know. So these are kind of little small gesture that he does to try control the two characters too. So okay, another one.
I believe I ate that. You ate my sandwich? It was a simple mistake. It could happen to anyone. Oh, really? Did you confuse it with your own turkey sandwich with a moist maker? No. Do you perhaps remember seeing a note on top of it? There may have been a joke or limerick of some kind. That said, it was my sandwich. Now calm down. Come look in my office. Some of it may still be in the trash. It was quite large. I have to most of it away. You threw my sandwich away. My sandwich! My sandwich!
So this is a very different type of a very contrast scene compared to the scene just now. I mean, this is a way to how do you explore in a comedy sort of scene. So like for this one, how would you go and animate? So this is kind of, I broke it down into the poses. So this is the pose where he realized that he knows that who took his sandwich, right? And then it's not that expressive because in a way the character is trying to hold himself from being too angry. In French, so the character's name is Ross. How they describe his archetype is basically as a hero wannabe, because in a way like everyone has to sort of follow his sort of rules. So I mean, at least he tries, but you know. and then you go step by step. Because in this shot, I like how he sort of, the tension builds up, right? So as an animator, you would exaggerate more on the facial expression more rather than the body. But then of course when he flips out, you can sort of explode the character a bit. So another one. Okay, so this one is one of my examples. So I'll show you the final output first.
Sarima? Aku tak suka makan kat sari batu lah.
So this was one of the first R&D for the EJEN ALI the movie. So when we did the case study of how to make acting easier, so the animation leaders went to give this small exercise to their team as well. So this is example of my acting.
Sarima? Aku tak suka makan kat sari batu lah.
So yeah, very different from how Baka would act, but in a way there's no story, but we just wanted to focus on the animation style. So then we go to the layout, trying to get the poses first.
Sarima? Aku tak suka makan kat sari batu lah.
So yeah, basically just this one, I just follow what I could get from the acting reference, and then slowly I try to polish the block and the poses.
Aku tak suka makan kat sari batu lah.
As you can see, like in the blocking phase as well, we try to put the emotion straight away first, but then you don't have to actually put the lip sync yet, but instead you just want to try to get the mood of the acting. So right after that, when we spline,
Sarima?
we get something like
makan
this.
kat sari batu lah.
Yeah, if you're all wondering what Sarima is, Sarima used to be a restaurant shop under WAU. I mean, just below the office. But then the shop closed, so we were quite angry.
Sarima? Aku tak suka makan kat sari batu lah.
So yeah, as you can see, the timing is sort of the same. But then when you in animation, you try to sort of exaggerate a bit, and then you try to sort of emphasize the pose too.
Sarima? Aku tak suka makan kat sari batu lah.
So yeah, so that's about it, I think, for video analysis.
SAFUAN, that's the question.
Oh yeah. It depends, because you don't actually do lip sync like exactly how the dialogue is supposed to say, right? Sometimes if there's a lot of you focus more on the vowels, the basic vowels, so A, E, I, O, U. So you focus on that, and then you use your audio as the reference to try and morph with the vowels. There will be a bit of lip sync exercise later, so we'll try to explore in that as well. So does that answer the questions? Okay. All right. So we go to, if there's no more questions, we're gonna go straight to our first demo exercise.
You can download the file from the Telegram group if you haven't downloaded already. So Safwan, are we doing the exercise?
Yeah, I'm just starting.
Okay.
So everyone can see the window.
Yes, yes, we can. So which file should we open, Safwan?
So that's in the folder. There should be around about 5 folders, but you open the 01 timing first. So everybody has opened their Blender already, or?
Yes. You're ready.
Okay. So basically, when you open your Blender, right? I think some of you guys will come across the small pop-up, and then it will ask whether which mouse shortcut or navigation that you want to use. Just to check, you can go to your edit preference. Oh.
We couldn't see the preference panel.
All right. Wait. I have to share my screen instead of the window.
Yes, you can show your entire screen.
Okay. So basically, you go to edit preference, and then you go to your key map, and at the top here, there's 3 options: Blender 27X, which is the old Blender series, and then the industry compatible, which is if you are used to the from softwares like Maya or 3ds Max. But instead today we're going to use Blender. I think it's better if you set Blender, because it will be easier for you to follow outside tutorial as well. So everybody got that done? Okay, so basically for navigation in Blender, so if you want to rotate your scene, you use your middle mouse button and to rotate. Wait, I need to on this. Alright. If you use your middle click and then you drag its rotation, and then if you want to pan your viewport, you click shift and then middle mouse button and then drag. And then if you want to zoom, you can also zoom in your scene by scrolling the middle click. But if you want to zoom in more with more control, you press control and then you middle click mouse button. Okay, everybody clear on the navigation?
Yes.
I can't actually see the window, so you guys gonna have to Astral need to give me a indication. Okay. And then there's also there should be a panel here. There's a button, there's an arrow button here. But if you press T, which is the tools panel, the tools panel is just basically you got the select box, the cursor, and then the move button, rotate, scale, or you can use all three of those, which is the transform tool. So they'll come up with all three options. Another way for you, if say you hide the tools panel and then you use a quick access way, which is the shift spacebar. So shift spacebar, you can actually select which one you want to choose to move your model or rig. I'm going to use the transform. And then you have the property panel to the side here, which is the N. The property panel shortcut is N. So this one, if you click on the item, that's where the value of the control rig. If you want to key in the numbers, so that is the property panel. And then also in animation, in Blender they have this work modes. For here, it's basically at the top left corner here, you have the object mode, edit mode, pose mode. This one is because the rig file has the rig already. So if you will open in the empty one, there will be a lot more for edit mode, also texture mode or sculpt mode. So for animation, you need to use pose mode. That is their basically their workspace for animation. Or for shortcut, you can control tab. Why do you have to animate in pose mode? Because if you animate in object mode, there are some features that in pose mode that you cannot do. So I will show you what the features are later. So and then after that, we have to set the bottom. The bottom right now is dope sheet. So we have to change it to timeline. So if you click there's this small icon right at the corner of the dope sheet, change it to timeline. Timeline is more simple, more simplistic for you to arrange your key.
SAFUAN, what's the difference between dope sheet and timeline?
Sorry?
The difference between dope sheet and timeline.
Dope sheet is basically it's like usually you know how After Effects timeline is? Basically it's like that. It doesn't usually summarize the whole. I'll show you how. Basically, so if I go timeline and then I select all the controllers and then key, it'll come out like this, but then you can hide all of the features, right? So it'll be more cleaner. But then if you go to dope sheet, there's a lot of controllers here too, but then you can sort of in a way uh, isolate each of the controllers too. I think
The timeline is more manageable in terms
yeah,
of games.
yeah, it's more manageable.
Okay.
Okay, so we use timeline. So once we set the timeline, we need to change the frame number over here at the right corner here. So we animate from 100 to 125 for starter.
So just 45 frames.
Yeah, 125 frames.
Okay. Why do we start with 100 instead of 0 or 1?
Because it's more easier for for example, if the render team wants to do any simulation, right, and then if the number is uh, in the negative factor, it wouldn't actually render out the scene. But if you would do 100 and then you can sort of, if there's any animation amends, you can sort of add the numbers backwards or forward. It's much more easier. Then the render team can render the shot. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So also the timeline, you can also control like how you would control in the viewport. So if you would scroll, it will zoom in, and then if you press shift and mouse button, middle click, you can drag the timeline. And then also if you control, you can sort of control it smoothly. Okay. And then another one, we want to make sure in our output properties. So output property at the right panel here. So our resolution is I've already set, but if you want to change for your later on scene, you can set it here. And then make sure your frame is 100 and 125 according to your timeline. And then frame rate, we'll change it to 25. Okay.
35 is frame rate for animation for TV, right?
Yeah, for TV.
Okay.
Okay, last before we start our animation, okay, if we would want to key a controller or a position, we press I is for insert keyframe, and then will come out. There's loads of information here. Basically, if you would do lots of shots, it would be very annoying if you would to encounter everything like this, and then you have to select each time when you key a keyframe. So in order to solve this, you go to keying right here at the left near the playback. Active keying set. You set it to location, rotate, and scale. Okay.
So that one is for automatically setting the keyframe for lock rod scale.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you will press I, just now if you press I, it will come out a lot of options. But instead this one, when you key, it will just come out a keyframe straight away. So you don't have to select. And if you look at the property panels here, the item panel, it's in color, it's in yellow color. If it's not key, it's usually in gray. And then if you press I, it will come out as yellow.
So the yellow means the keyframe has been made.
Yeah.
All right.
So insert key is I, insert, and then if you want to delete, you just go to your timeline and then click on the top here. If you click on the summary, right, there's this summary here, there's this layers here. You select here, and then you press X, you can delete your keyframe.
Safwan, if I may ask.
Yep.
All right. So inside the 3D viewer, I can see that there are lots of lines. At the bottom one is the arrow, and then there's middle lines, and then there's a circle line. What's the lines all about?
The lines mean this one, the controllers.
Yes. Oh, the one's controllers.
Yeah. So each of these are the controllers. So they have their own functions. So if you would show you, so this one you can. This is the master controller. Like before you animate, you also want to get comfortable with your rigs too. So you try to explore. So if this one cannot use their scale, cannot move the translation, but you can rotate.
Okay, which means when we want to animate, we do not animate or select the object itself, but just select the controllers.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And last but not least, before you start your animation, you want to auto key. You want to on the auto key also. If you would say, if you on this, and then you move your rigs, it will automatically key for you. So you won't have to go the trouble to just every time have to key. So because sometimes, and if you off this, and then you key manually. Let's say you changing the poses, but then when you move, it wouldn't actually stay. See? Okay, another way, so say you sort of move a lot, move your rigs a lot, and then you want to reset it. You want to reset to the origin back. A way to do this is either, usually manually you would go to the property and then you zero out all of this, right? But another way you can do is basically you select all. If you press Alt, and then you press G, it will reset the location value. If you press Alt R, it will reset the rotation value, and then if you alternate S, it will reset the scale value.
Okay, which means alternate G to reset the position, alternate R to reset the rotation,
Yep.
and alternate S to reset the scale back to 0 point at the center of that.
Yes.
There's a question.
Okay.
So Yongrin asks, so how to auto key? Can you show that again?
How to key?
How to auto key?
Oh, okay. Auto key, there's a button here that looks like a recording button near the play button. So you see there's the play, reverse, just this one, a small dot here. Once you press this, you're basically ready to animate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I think we can start on our timing exercise first. So for this one, I'm gonna key the first value here. So press I here. And then I go to frame 108. And then I just drag this. I'm animating following the camera viewport here. So when you want to play blast later, it will come up how the camera looks like. Okay, I'm just gonna go here. So right now, as you can see, it's if you play the animation, it's very even, right? So for example, if you would key at 102 and 104 and 106. This is how I would describe the timing when you do key pose A, key pose B, and then at 102 is the slow out. This is the in between, and 106 is the slow in. So right now it's even, but how do we want to play with the timing? So we just drag the spacing of the keyframe. Say we select the last four keyframes, and then we just drag it to 105, and then the last keyframe we just drag it to 114. So when you play, there's that very slow transition, and then fast in the middle, and then it's slow ease in the last pose. Yeah. And then okay, so this is the first basic timing exercise. And then say for example you want to animate with a punching timing. So punching timing, you just drag the last one to 101. You condense the sort of spacing. The in between is at 102. And then you slow out at 104. And then you drag the last one to 110. So this kind of animation will look very fast in the middle but slow in the end.
How you call this? Punching timing?
I mean, if you were to animate a punching sort of timing. So for animation, if the character wants to punch, how does the timing look in the timeline? This is how it will look like.
You mean when the punch approaching the subject, it will slow down?
Oh yeah. For this one, you can either make it more what do you call that? If you use punching, so I will copy the last one, last keyframe, and then I'll paste it at 104. So if the keyframe is the same, it will look something like this. They'll have these yellow lines. And then you just slowly just overshoot. Yes, that's the keyword, overshoot.
And can you repeat the overshoot process again?
Okay, so basically you just copy the keyframe here from the last keyframe.
Okay.
And you paste at 104.
Okay.
Basically, you just want to make sure the ending is the same, but before the last keyframe, you just move it slightly to the front.
All right.
So you have something like this. Okay. So basically, just now is a very manual process on how to do your timing and keying in Blender. So say I'll delete this first. So delete the middle part. So now you have 100 until 1010. Say we go for 105. Okay. So another feature that I think a lot of animators from Maya, we are familiar with the A tools tool, right? The tool is a very helpful tool for animators to animate. And also in Blender, there's this feature for the in-betweener, or sort of like a twinning machine. So if you go to pose and then in betweens, there's this button called pose breakdowner, or the shortcut is Shift E. So if you press this, you will have you see your mouse will, if you drag, the mouse will move how you want to place the position, which position you want to place, and it will also key. And if you take from the viewport here, you say here is the beginning, the beginning of the pose, and then over here is the last pose. Okay, so if you would drag somewhere in the middle, it will end in the middle, and then once you click, a keyframe will produce. So say you want to play with the timing straight away, so you want to slow in at this key. So if you press Shift E again, then you stop at somewhere around here. So now you have a slow in. So now you have a slow in animation. See, just now I dragged a bit just to get that slow ease kind of feeling. So then if you were to use this for your the basic 5 key, right? So say for 104 50, somewhere in the 20%. You can also key in your post breakdowner too. At the bottom here, there's the option. There's this, and then you can just key in how many percentage you want to use. See, if you drag, it will either end on the same as the same keyframe as the one before, or the one after. So for this one, we want to slow out. So we'll just go roughly around here. And then for this one, around here. And then at 107, we'll do the in-between. We just drag it a bit.
So post breakdown function is to enable us to have a pinpoint accuracy of the location or the position of the character.
Of the controller. I mean, basically, if you just do the manual keyframe like the one I showed, Say you key pose at 101, but then in the middle of, in between the 100 and 101, you can actually get it from the post breakdowner. So it'll be more refined transition or a pose that you want to get for the slow out.
Okay.
Say for in the middle, you can also do so a bit of smearing. So we just use the scale.
How to use the skill again? We just grab which controller? The bottom one or
The bottom one.
the bottom one, and then press S for scale.
You can press S or you can use the transform tool.
Okay.
So for over here, there is transform. So basically, if you press Shift spacebar to quick access, you can go to transform.
Oh, nice.
Transform is more, I think, much more easier because you can, rather than go to each of the buttons, right? You have it all. So just roughly. Now the end of the pose, the transition is very hard. So you have to try and smoothen it out a bit. Around here, around like 0.9%. So yeah, everybody okay with the features so far, with the shortcuts on how to animate?
All right. So basically, we press I to make the keyframe, and then we go to the pose, and then we go to the in betweens and choose pose breakdown or Shift E for shortcut to turn on the pose breakdowner. Okay.
Yeah, because other than pose breakdowner, also you have this relax pose, push pose. Relax pose is basically the keyframe that will produce slow out or slow in animation. And then a push pose is basically to overshoot your keyframe. So just now when we try to do a punching sort of animation, right? Say we use this and practice it. And if I click in between, go to push pose from breakdown, Control E. So if I Control E, it will create an overshoot a bit. You see?
Okay.
Yeah, so you can use that feature as well if you want to do an overshoot. Or if you want to create a relaxed or ease in key, you can choose in between relax pose, which is alternate E. So then you have to select. Right now there's a bit of staggered movement. That is because we have to look at the graph editor, but I won't show it just yet. So just know that if we were to remove 108 and then use the previous key from 112, so it'll be much smooth. So that's all the features when you animate. You want to use these 3 buttons here as much as possible. So the more you experiment with the functions here, I think you'll be able to understand timing more efficiently. So, okay.
Okay. So if you want to look further into this topic, what keyword should we be looking at? Yeah, on the internet. Let's say we want to further study this method.
For the timing, is it?
Yes, correct.
For timing, usually a very basic exercise is just bouncing ball, experiment with the different weights, right? So different weights of the ball will portray a different property in the timing as well. So okay, I think we can move to the next one.
Okay. So this is the basic of the basic.
Yes, it is about timing. Because once you understand the timing and then you explore the poses usually like you don't really have to experiment a lot, right? Usually timing will sort of timing is very important for animators to understand.
Which means you need to have a solid foundation or understanding of timing before you learn how to animate. Is it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we open the exercise 02.
Should we save the file before?
Yeah, sure. You can if you want.
Okay, so 02. Oh, bouncing ball. All right.
Everybody okay so far, right? With the exercises now.
Yeah, guys, if you got any question, you can just shoot the question to SAFUAN. Jangan malu-malu, rugi nanti.
Okay, everybody open the exercise 02 file.
Okay, done.
Okay, same as the one before. We have to set the frame number first. Check whether it's on timeline or worksheet. Make sure it's on timeline.
Okay. Then we need to set the keying, right? You mean the log rod scale before?
Yeah.
Log rod scale. Okay. And turn on the auto keyframe.
Yep. Also check on your output properties too. The one at the panel here.
25 frames.
Yep.
Okay. What about the frame length? Start from 100 to 125?
We'll do, this time we'll do 100 to 150.
150.
Okay, so make sure your Blender mode is on pose mode. Okay, we can start our next one, right?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to select all of the key first, all of the controllers.
Or select all.
Yep, select all. And then I'm going to press I, insert keyframe.
At frame, which frame? The first frame.
At frame 100.
Okay.
And then, so we're going to do a bouncing ball, right? So we copy all of the keyframe, we select all, and then we select the key at frame 100, Control C for copy, and then we paste at 115. So you have to paste at the timeline, and not paste at the viewport.
Okay, so the steps for copying the keyframe, we must select. We must select all the controllers inside the 3D view, and then we select all the keyframes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought why we cannot just select the keyframes and then copy it?
I mean, I think that's just for reassurance, but then you can also select the summary here, right? And press the summary button, it will select all.
I see. Okay, I thought that's a necessity.
Just sometimes you cannot put your trust to the software sometimes.
Okay. Always have some doubt, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, Control Z or whatnot, Control S. Okay, so then we go in the middle, maybe at 108.
Okay.
And then we select the arrow blue key and just drag it up.
Okay.
Right now, it's just flying, right? So just drag this last key a bit to 116. Okay, so at 116 and 1010, I'm gonna add the slow in and slow out. So 106, I'm gonna press Shift E, and then drag it to near the end, around 0.95%. And then this one, I'm gonna press Shift E again and drag it somewhere in the beginning, around 0.05%. So for this one, okay, wait, I'm just gonna play back.
So can you explain more why do we need 3 sets of keyframes in the middle?
Basically, okay, this at keyframe 100 is pose A, so keyframe A, a main pose. Then at 108 is another pose, is another main pose. Okay. And then this one is another pose. So A, B, C. So each of these is basically the main key poses.
All right. There's some request from Amira. She said, can you repeat, please? I think maybe from
from the beginning.
From the beginning, I think.
Okay, sure. Basically, okay. I'm gonna delete all the frames first.
Okay.
Okay, so this one at 108, I'm gonna push it up, so it's gonna fly to the top.
So pressing G and Z, right? G, Z, and push it up.
G, Z can, or you can use the transform tool just to drag and move it.
Okay.
Okay, then you want to, so the ball is going to drop down. So I'm just going to copy from frame 100, then paste it at 116.
Okay, basically we want to have the same position as the first keyframe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So right now it's even, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for this one, we will do, we select this, and we want to create a slow in key.
Mm-hmm.
So we shift E.
Shift E, the post breakdown.
Yeah, post breakdowner, and then somewhere around here, 0.9.
We should push it up or down?
For which one? Post breakdowner?
Yes, correct.
Post breakdowner is basically you just drag it right to left. You just slide it, drag your mouse right to left.
Okay, but the ball will be going down or up, right? So we should push the ball up or down?
We should push the ball up.
Up. Okay.
Because basically what the post breakdowner does is it's basically twinning from two of these key posts. This post and this post.
Okay.
Okay. And then this one we're gonna do a slow out key, shift E,
Again.
around 0.09%.
0.09.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna drag out a bit of the key posts of the key frames here.
Mm-hmm.
Just give it a bit of spacing. So when we play, okay, so right now the middle part here is very, it's a bit even, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for this one, we were gonna at 104.
104. Okay.
104. Can just shift E,
Shift E.
then somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
So maybe you can just key in manually 0.5%.
Okay.
For this one, you want to do an anticipation pose, right? So there's a bit of squash before the ball launches upwards. So we can do that by just using the pose in between and push from breakdown.
Push from breakdown.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we should push the ball upward or downward?
Downward.
Downward.
Just a bit. I think I'm gonna cancel that first. We're gonna try this first. Copy the key from 100.
Okay.
And then paste it at 102.
102. Okay.
And then we're just gonna use the scale button here. And then just scale down.
Oh, okay. Squash it. Okay.
Yeah, squash. So that's the principle of animation, right? Squash and stretch. So in the middle, we'll do the stretch.
Oh,
and
nice.
Scale. So that's one part done. So as you can see, the 5 key in the beginning is for post A to post B. So now we have to fill up the last part. So for last part, we can just use the ones that we did in the beginning first, and just copy from 104. Then we paste it at 114. And same as the 102, we copy 102, and paste it at 116.
Okay.
So if you want sort of relaxed sort of reset pose, you just drag the last one to a bit further to the back. So I select all of the controllers and then I drag the last key at least 2 frames to the back.
Nice.
So yeah, now you have a bouncing ball now.
Okay. So many process.
Yeah, I think if you once get your head around with the 5 key system, right, and then I think almost anything you can animate already. You just need that 5 keyframes. And this one can be dragged a bit.
So after this, just fine-tune the animation.
Sorry?
After this, we just need to fine-tune
Yeah.
the keyframes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Shafika have a question.
Yep.
Shafika, you can unmute your mic if you want to ask the question. You can also ask in Malay. No worries. Vera. Okay, Vera.
The question now?
Yeah, she said wait. Maybe she's typing the question.
Okay.
Okay. In the meantime, you can proceed, SAFUAN. Okay, if you want to make it cycles, I mean, keep bouncing up and down, do we need to copy and paste every keyframes?
You don't have to. You can, if you want to just play in the timeline, you can just drag the end keyframe here to 120.
Okay.
They will play in a loop, right? Or maybe you can just 119.
Okay. That's the question. Shafika asks, is there any way to distinguish the type of keyframe? Like putting different color for main pose and breakdown?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
color code the keyframe.
Good question. There is a way. So say for example, your keyframe 100, 110, and 120 is the main one, right? So if you right click to your keyframe, and then keyframe type.
Oh, okay.
Keyframe type, there are labels that you can use for your keyframes. So you can see the shortcut is R. So basically, if you press this, press R, keyframe, and then this one, keyframe. And then, so if you see keyframe is gray, white. If you do breakdown, so 104 is the breakdown, it will change to blue, or a smaller keyframe.
So this color code doesn't affect anything. It's just a color code.
It doesn't affect anything.
All right.
It's just a way for you to label your key.
Okay.
So you have moving whole. So yeah, that's how it should look like if you want to label your keyframes.
Should we label all our keyframes when we animate? Let's say walk cycle.
Walk cycle.
Yeah, should we label? Should we make it a habit? Labeling our keyframes.
For your, I think it's for your own self-management, right? Because if you want to, if it's easier for you to do this kind of thing, then you should apply lah. But if you can guarantee your shots will not be amended by anybody, then it's fine for you to just I think not label. But then if you want a different animator to open up your shot, and then he will, if the animator wants to amend, then I think it will be much easier if you label your keyframe.
I see.
Okay. Okay.
Now I have a nice onesie ball. Good.
Sorry?
Now I have a nice onesie ball animation.
Yes. What else? So say if you want to do another bouncing animation, right? So right now it's going to the top and then bottom, and then say for the next one it's a different height, so you just move it halfway. So then you apply the same principle as just now. For the last one, can also remove a bit.
Okay, another question from Shafika.
Okay.
In Maya, we can play blast. How about Blender?
Okay, I will show you. So for Play Blast, say, okay, you already set your frame number and all. Say I just want to set 119. For the rendering Play Blast, okay, at your right panel over here, at the output properties, so there's 1, 2, 3 output properties. There's a drop down menu called output. So over here there's the folder. You just go to your desktop or anywhere. So just in the name of your file. Okay. The setting, the file format should be for video, right? For video is FFmpeg video. Okay, and then you go to encoding. So you change this to QuickTime, and then video codec is H.264. And then if you have audio, if you don't have audio, just no audio. If you have audio, you just put it MP3. And then, okay, once you set everything in the output here, at the camera viewport here, you press this, there's these 3 lines near the pose mode. You see pose mode and then 3 lines, view, and then render viewport animation. So besides near the pose mode, beside that there's the 3 line symbols. 3 line symbols, there's view, select and pose. You select view and then you select viewport render animation. Once you click that, they will render the animation based on your viewport. So if you open your, so you close this and then open your folder, you should have your Playblast.
Did you get that, Shavika? Okay.
Okay.
Very nice.
So this is the way to basically you don't want to render your scenes, right? So for animations, you can just Playblast your shots, which is enough to, if you want to share your work in online. I think that's about it. Does anyone have any more questions or? Basically, the first 2 exercises is just to get an understanding of how to use the breakdowner tools and all of that.
Okay, so now we know how to bounce the ball, but what if we want to make the ball bounce forward or backward or in a
Okay,
direction?
sure, you can do that. So, right. It's up to you guys. If you want to save as a new one, you can. So, just
I'll
first
see.
Shift S to save a new one, and then just press the plus button. It will add a number to your version number. Okay, so right now we delete all of the keyframes. Say around, just gonna try 10120. Okay, just roughly move it. So right now it's just moving in a very linear way. So at halfway at 110, you just pull it up. So right now there's a this motion. The timing is even, so we want to make sure that the timing has the right weight to your bouncing ball. So I can do at 108. I'll just do press Shift E.
E.
Maybe 0.8%. At frame 112, we can do 0.15.
0.15.
So and then at 105,
105.
0.5%.
0.5.
And this one is a bit tricky because you have to look for an eye on the arc of the animation. Right now it's a bit linear, right? So this one maybe you have to push up a bit. So the one in the slow in have to adjust a bit the slow in. So, I think an easier way to do this is to change the timeline to graph editor. Because if you do it here, because you can't really visually visualize the arc of the bouncing ball, so usually you would use the graph editor.
So where's our keyframe?
I'm trying to drag this button here. Oh yeah, this
Wow.
is right at the bottom. You have to scroll out a bit.
Wow, okay. Okay.
So you can see at the Z location. The Z location, we can isolate the graph editor as well. If you want to isolate, you select the Z location, which is like the blue one. The blue one, you want to look for the arc shape graph, and then you press Shift H to isolate.
Shift H.
Shift H to isolate. If you want to unveil all, you press alternate H. Right now, you just want to isolate.
So select the Z location and then press Shift H to view only the Z location.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Got it.
So right now, I think you can just move, shape your graph like how a bouncing ball would look like.
Okay. So we need to play with the curve.
Yeah.
Okay. Safwan, can you explain what are you doing right now? Why are you doing the curve?
Basically, trying to just shape the arc as how you would want your bouncy ball to be. So basically, you want that slope graph here, right? That slope here is basically the slow in the transitioning of the weight when it stops at mid-air, and then before it bounces back down. I think this one. Go back to timeline. Just want to check the keyframes.
When we move the graph, does we move the keyframes too? I mean the timing.
Yep, we did. If you move the graph, basically you move the z location, right? But then if the previous one, if you check for the y, x, it doesn't affect anything. For the y, is basically how the ball, when the ball moving forward. So this one you have to adjust a bit to make sure the graph is smooth.
I see.
How I move the points just now is basically I select and just press G to move it.
Is there any way faster way? I mean, just select the 3 keyframes and then just roll it out.
Should be actually. Right now it's a bit of a mess, right?
Sorry?
Right now it looks a bit of a mess.
I don't know because I'm not animator. To me, it's okay. It's animated.
I mean, in terms of the keyframe management,
Okay.
because look, because bouncing ball, if it's moving, it's usually there's a tool where you can look the motion editable trail. If Blender has, I don't think it has. You have to find an add-on for that. Okay, I think the motion is right. So right now, you can just play with the animation
Squash.
with the timer.
Do we need to adjust the squash and stretch too?
Later, I think, yeah. I mean, if you want to use that, you can use in the in between, right? So in the middle here, say for this one, I just want to control P and paste the squash. You can use this to rotate. So in the middle, just break down 5. The controller in the middle, you can actually rotate from the bottom origin.
Oh. So when the ball is moving forward, we should also rotate the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's a question from Shafika. Is there
Okay.
any way to change the graph property like step mode or auto tangent?
Yes, there is. If you select all of the controllers first, so you want to select all the keyframes, then you right click, interpolation mode, constant.
Okay.
So right now it's, as you can see, it's on step mode.
Hmm.
So you can see right now the key poses are a bit everywhere, so it's a bit of a mess a bit. I'm just gonna put Bezier back. Bezier. Say 102. It's from the beginning. We take keyframe 100, paste it at 102. So this one we scale down. Okay. That looks alright. So yeah, basically just now there was a bit of problem in the beginning, right? Because of the graph from the Y location. So sometimes when you're playing with the arc, you have to look at the graph editor too. So we want to see if the motion is smooth or not. Sometimes this one can be arranged a bit. One can adjust to make it smoother. All right. This will, I think, it might take you a bit of time to try to grasp the timing for bouncing ball, right? If it's moving.
It looks nice to me.
So I think that should be it.
Okay, that's it for the session. Sorry, for this session, is it?
For the morning session, yeah.
All right. So, guys, do you have any question to ask Mr. SAFUAN Shahril before we go for a break? You can unmute your microphone if you want to ask the question. And also you can ask in Malay if you prefer that. No one?
No questions.
Semua senyap.
Macam mana nak on grid?
From Muaz.
Muaz.
Can you ask the question again, Muaz?
Grid yang bawah, yang
Bawah.
grid, kata grid.
Tak dengar sangat.
Grid apa benda nama bawah bola tu?
Oh, grid, the 3D viewport punya grid.
Oh. Jawab. Ni share jap. Oh, grid ni ya. Kalau grid ni
dekat atas, dekat show overlays.
Macam mana? Viewport overlays. Ni ada grid, floor. Oh, nak on kat sini ke? Dekat camera viewport. Oh, ya. Kena tekan dulu.
Okay.
Nak kena hide bones lah, bones. So hide the controllers, origin semua. Okay.
Any other questions? Ada soalan lain tak?
That's about because this one is a very basic approach to try understand timing, right? After this, when we try to, we're gonna animate a character, so it will be a bit more challenging.
You guys can also ask any question, even though it's not related to Blender. Maybe you want to ask how his experience when animating EJEN Ali for the movie, because he's been animating the character inside Maya, if I'm not mistaken, Safuan?
Yep.
They are using Maya for animation. Recently, they are doing some R&D to transition into Blender. Hence, that's why Safuan is teaching this workshop. Oh, Safuan, I have one question. What's your personal opinion when changing from Maya to Blender to animate? Is it hard from someone from Maya to migrate to Blender?
Actually, the way how I look at Blender is basically just a tools, right? So if I would basically just when we move to Blender, when I moved to Blender, I wanted to figure out all the functions, the button functions that we can use that is similar in Maya. So basically, actually Blender has already have it, right? The in-betweens, all of this is basically what we need to use for animating a shot. And then also there's a tool in Maya where we can group our controller, right? That one I will teach you in the next one. So there's a selection set that you can do it to group your controllers for the characters. So you want to group the eyes, the mouth, and then the body is separated keyframe, right? So I'll teach you on the next one.
Okay. Shafika asks, which is your preference, Maya or Blender?
I think none. I don't think I have I don't think I have any favors to which software, because softwares tools are always changing, and we as an animator or a creative person, we need to be able to adapt to our tools, right? So, and I know the debate when we use Blender, a lot of people say that it's lacking a bit of that, lacking a bit of this, but I think the more people use the software, I think it will have. I think the developers will notice what we want more. So the Blender community is also very supportive to all of their creators.
Okay, Nazmi Sunny asking, what the most challenging when animate?
What's the most challenging when animate? I think the most challenging is trying to get the right pose, right? Trying to get the right pose for your character. And in terms of when you talk about timing or the animation, the smoothness or whatnot, the technical aspect, I think that doesn't matter. But because it's more important for you to be able to tell your shot, the story that you want by just posing. So I think your ideation is very important. Good
Okay.
question.
And then Putri Kaur asking how to enable or change to quad view in Blender. Oh, you mean the quad view?
Quad view. Quad view meaning?
You can, I think you can press Control Alternate Q. Yes, yeah. You can move your mouse cursor to the 3D viewport and then press Control Alternate Q.
Oh, alternate Q. Oh. Oh. Alright.
Yeah, some artists prefer this view.
Yeah,
They have the top, right, and then
for bouncing ball animation, I think it's more easier if we animate like this.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. If there's no any other questions, I will end this session now. We will continue again at 2 p.m. later, but please log in 15 minutes before. Oh, Mr. Kamarul asked, which software that you prefer in rig, Maya or Blender? Oh, can we rig in Maya and then we bring the rig into Blender?
No, you
No.
cannot. Because they use different, I think it's because different coding, right? So you cannot just simply export your rig from Maya to Blender like that. But to answer the question, which software do I prefer to rig, is it? Maya rigging tools, they don't usually have it in software because we usually rig with third-party software, right? We use the auto rig script, but then in Blender they have their own auto rig system, which is Rigify, which I think it's very strong enough already, because right now they are planning to make it modular. Modular rigging is basically you can build your rig in any sort of shapes or forms. So I think it's very flexible that Blender is able to do that.
So which one do you prefer? Rigging in Maya or rigging in Blender? Which one is easier?
um, can't really say because in Blender I haven't actually figured out my own workflow for rigging yet. But for Maya, I've already used that for quite a long time. I already found a way to rig a character very fast. So after this, I think I'll be more into exploring how to rig in Blender, because also Blender don't really have a lot of free rigs yet. Actually, yesterday they released a new rig from the Blender Cloud, which I think is interesting. So I'm gonna have a look at the rig and see what they have.
Okay. Okay, I think that's it for now. So I will end this session and I'll see you guys later. Bye.